Well, today I thought we'd do a little bit of trash to treasure. Can you believe this bracelet that has the matching ring? Yep, it cost $1. Wait do you see what I transform it into? Or here in Edmonton called Crazy Bins, where they get a bunch of Amazon returns. And I think Thursdays are their $1 days. So I picked up a couple of these, I guess they'd be Gothic style bracelets because, yeah, when you're a miniaturist, you can see the possibility in almost anything. They'd make great Halloween costumes. But you can see here I broke that stone off and pulled this off the bracelet part, and here was the ring part, and look at this, like two perfect little picture frames. So hey, for $1, and I can also reuse the lace as well as the chain. I mean, this lace, you could cut it up and use it as an embellishment on a piece of furniture, or maybe even cut a doily out of it. um, so, I mean, it has a lot of possibilities. I don't throw any of my scraps out, you guys. You never know when you can use it. And look at this little chain with the little beads hanging from it. Those beads could become Christmas ornaments. I mean, you could get a lot of use out of this $1 little item. So, but first of all, we have to cut the little end pieces off of it that the chain was attached to, because we don't need to have the rings on it. And then I'm just going to lightly file it. Now, it doesn't take much filing at all because it is like really soft pot metal. But that's okay. My dolls won't mind. I think they make absolutely perfect little picture frames. And you can see here it's got the little ring on the end. So I'm just going to nip that off with the wire cutters. And voila, it's going to be perfect. So yeah, it doesn't take a lot of effort to cut through this metal, that's for sure. But yeah, it'll be perfect, absolutely perfect inside the dollhouse. So that one actually had two loops, one on each side. So one, I actually cut one off camera. But yeah, easy peasy. That particular ring had a little flower glued to it that was made out of some kind of silk or ribbon. So I actually kept that little flower as well. So I'm kind of glad that I bought two of these bracelets. So it's kind of cool when you find something that you absolutely know will work in your miniature world. So there you go, two picture frames. So here's a secret that probably I just kind of figured out myself. So how the heck do you cut a perfect piece of artwork to fit into that frame when it's an oval shape? So if it's square, it's pretty easy to do, but when it's oval, it's kind of hard. So I took out the acrylic paint, and you can see here I'm just dipping my fingertip into the cap and just lightly going around the edge of the frame, and then I'm just pressing it onto a little scrap piece of paper that was left over from when I made books last week. So I'm just pressing it down, and there's the pattern that we need. That's the exact size that we'll need to put a little photograph or a picture or a piece of art into that frame. And of course I'm going to do the same for the other one, and that will make our job a lot easier, so we're not going to be playing any guessing games with it. So there you go, that works pretty good. So that's my little template for whatever it is that I choose to cut out to put inside of the frame. And so I'm just got out the scissors here, and I'm just cutting them out. It's so much easier when you have a template to work with. If you don't have a template to work with, you're going to end up destroying whatever piece of art or photograph that you're choosing to put into this. So um, yeah, so I'm just kind of taking my time and cutting it out nice and slow. And these, again, are not the best scissors for this job. I don't know why I always leave my good scissors and always use the crappy ones. Story of my life. The dullest scissors known to man. Yep, I own several pairs of those. So now I'm just cutting out the second little template and getting it together. And you can see at the end of this like why I chose to do this. Can you imagine trying to cut a perfect oval? Like yeah, impossible. So there you go. Perfect fit. And then here's the other one. And that one I actually ended up having to trim the top and the bottom just slightly, but perfect fit. There you go. So now I'm kind of deciding what I'm going to put into these. So I have used some of these photographs before. So I'm trying to come up with some original ideas. So that little tiny one, that tiny photograph is actually an original photograph from the 1940s. So that's a picture that I drew. And then when I was at Staples, I just reduced it and made it smaller so that I could use it inside of a smaller frame. So I think I'm going to use this for the tiny frame. So I've just got my template here and I'm just going to trace around it and then cut that out, and I think that will be an absolute perfect little fit for this little piece of artwork. I think yeah, that frame is really cute. I wished I would have actually bought maybe a couple more of those bracelets. They had like a whole pile of them and I only ended up buying two. And you know, I'm kind of regretting it because those tiny little frames are hard to come by. So I'm just going to cut this out and see how it fits into the tiny little frame. I'm sure it'll be perfect. So yeah, I lose a little bit of my drawing, so not all of her hat is going to be visible, but that's okay. At least we get her little face in there. So yeah, so there you go. I got it in. I'm actually trying to tap it out because it is just slightly too long. So I'm just going to trim it just a tiny, tiny little bit at the top. And now I've got out the tacky glue. And I'm going to put just a little tiny, tiny, minuscule amount of tacky glue on the back of this little picture that I drew. And stick it into the frame. So tacky glue, it's the best. I use it for absolutely everything. Actually, I use so much of it that I run out constantly. And you know, for the longest time I was buying my tacky glue at the dollar store. And I've actually found that if I buy it at Walmart or at the craft store, it seems to be a little bit better quality. It's almost like they sell the dried out version of it at the dollar store, the stuff that's getting old that they just got to get rid of, because it seems to last a little bit longer when I buy it elsewhere. So I'm just tracing out this one. This is a picture of my grandparents, Joe and Marjorie. So I'm just kind of tracing this one out, and then I'm going to put them into the larger of the two frames. So the little colored photograph, that's my daughter Jessica, my son-in-law Steve. I haven't used them in one of my doll houses, but I can't use Jessica without using one of the rest of my kids. So I'm going to have to come up with like a nice family photo that I can do in one of my doll houses with all of my children. So there you go. So that looks pretty cute. Now you could call this done, and I do typically, but I just want to show you how you can make it look like it's covered in glass. So I've got this UV resin, and so I'm just going to put a little drop of UV resin into the smaller of the frames and a little bit more in the larger of the frames, and I'll show you how I do this. So this gives the illusion that a nice piece of glass, a nice piece of curved glasses over the photograph. And it kind of makes it look even more antique, in my opinion. So you put a drop in the center, and then you tilt it back and forth until it fills the entire area. But please keep in mind that UV resin is toxic, so you really should wear gloves when you're using it. I'm using such a minute amount this time that I am not wearing gloves, but typically when I am using any kind of resin, you should really have your gloves on and you should protect yourself. Although they do people's fingernails with this stuff, so I don't know how safe that is. I hope someday they don't find out that all these women that were using this resin stuff on their nails are now getting sick as a result of it, but who knows. So here's my little black light. Now the rule of thumb with the black light is you just click it once and the UV resin is cured. I think it runs for about 1 minute, but I never follow that. I'm always paranoid, so I will cure this at least a minimum of 5 times, so for 5 full minutes. And why not? It doesn't cost me any extra, and then that way I know for sure that the resin has been cured. That one doesn't show up on the film quite as nicely as the bigger one. I guess it's just because it's so tiny. So I'm trying to get a better shot of it. No, it's not showing up. It actually looks really good in person. And also this past weekend I was busy kind of making cookies and way more pies. So there's some half-scale pies. So see how tiny they are? My friend had some little miniature bottle caps, and she said, "Oh, I got mini bottle caps if you want to come over and make some pies." So this is a lemon pie. She also had some canes, which was really nice, so I was able to cut off some lemon slices. And blueberry pie, yummy yummy. I wish that was a real pie right now. That would go nice with my morning coffee. And a little key lime pie with a slice of lime on it. And what else do I have here? Oh, these are some cookies that we made. So see that little cookie with the cherry in the center? So cute. It's got a little bit of flour on the edge of it. I'm going to do a cookie platter here one day this week. And some banana cream pie. See the canes with the bananas? It's so realistic, hey? And also, of course, some pumpkin pie. So pumpkin pie is super popular here in Canada in the fall. Everything's pumpkin pie flavored. And look at these little tiny muffins, little tiny chocolate chip or bran muffins. I think they look just excellent. See how it's got the little piece of tissue paper baked right onto it? Just think that is just absolutely adorable. It was so much fun to make those things. If you enjoyed today's video and would like to help support my channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee. Just go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Lisa Dobo. Thank you once again for joining me today on this Trash to Treasure video. I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. It's free to do so. Hit that like button and please share this video with your friends. And it really helps my algorithm if you guys leave a comment below and tell me what you thought of today's video, or maybe suggestions for improving today's video. It's awesome to have you here. And once again, have the best day ever.